Everybody, this is Kay Bradford coming to you IG Live, and we are having some technical glitches as happens, but I'm letting the amazing networks of the universe reach out to the planets and stars that be. We are looking for one Cody Brunelle-Potter. In the meantime, I'm coming to you live from my living room during the pandemic, otherwise known as in Vertigo Dance Theater, and we are here to talk about Walk the Walk. And hold on one second. I'm very excited to bring to you. Dun, 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 dun. I think it's happening. Cody,
Hey,
are you here?
I'm here.
Hello. I think we got it. We've got
Hi,
visuals, we've got
everybody.
audio. Welcome, Cody. So good to see you.
Same. I'm glad we got this figured out.
I know what a universe we are living in right now, right?
Totally.
Yeah, we're like closer together than ever and further apart all at the same time. So, first of all, I just want to do some just basic quick intros. Once again, I'll just say I am Kay Bradford. I am the Creative Engagement Director at Invertigo Dance Theater, and we are here with you all live. And I am so happy to be joined with Cody Brunelle-Potter, one of the amazing dancers of Invertigo Dance Theater. So, Cody, I thought we both could just start with like basic hellos, like our names, our pronouns, like a little bit maybe about our relationship to Invertigo and our own, like blueprint of art in the world, if we want to just start with that. You go first.
I love it. That sounds great. Okay. Well, I am Cody Brunelle-Potter. My pronouns are they, them. I am non-binary or gender non-conforming, and I'm a dancer with Invertigo Dance Theater. I started with them at the very first iteration of the work Formulae and Fairy Tales, which has been kind of an amazing journey through the whole, like, that's my Invertigo through line so far. It just keeps going, which is great. We got to tour it a little bit, and there's more tour set to go, so I'm super stoked about that. Um, yeah, that's how I come to Invertigo, and that's where I found this family.
I love it. I know it's like the art world families and the queer, trans, non-binary families. We're lucky we have a lot of chosen webs in our
Yeah,
worlds. Yeah,
totally.
love that. Great. Well, yeah, I've been with Invertigo since May of 2019, which seems like three lifetimes ago uh, because of what's been happening. Yeah, and I had just launched my Cosmos project. It's Cosmos with a Q, just so everybody knows. As I like to say, who needs a U when you have a Q? So
I love that.
I had just launched this like queer trans project, also looking at the concept of post drag, and then the stars aligned, and I got plucked by the star system of Invertigo and started part time. And within moments, it seems like all of a sudden was going full time with Laura and Dave and the amazing rest of our crew, and right in time for Formula and Fairy Tales. So Cody, it was a journey getting to know the company right at this epic moment of having Formula and Fairy Tales launch at
That
the Broad
was,
stage.
yeah, that was really epic. I think I met you when you came in for that. I was sort of on a like body transition. I had injured my back and was subbing in another dancer, teaching them choreography and learning almost a new role in the show, which is my current role in the show. So yeah, we've really built this together.
Right? Like this ongoing call and response because your injury ended up really shaping the arc of the show and your role, and also even just how Alan Turing was cast. So before we go on, I just want to let everyone know we will be talking about Walk the Walk, which is a brand new project at Invertigo. And I want to just put a pin in Alan Turing, and we're going to come right back to that. So for right now, just want to say nuts and bolts. Walk the Walk is a workshop, community theater dance movement story workshop that is coming up on Transgender Day of Visibility, which is March 31st. It's at 5:30, and we are still seeking some participants. We have an amazing group of people assembled so far, and it's interactive. It is on Zoom. Again, 5:30 on March 31st, and the the link is in our bio. So please, if you would like to apply, we actually have a $50 commission we're offering to people for their creative contributions. And Cody and I will be two of the three people
Woo!
that you will be jamming with that night. So we're really, really excited about this.
So
Uh,
excited.
yes, for sure. So, yeah, and the other thing is we have great news, which is that we have a new guest artist who came on board. We originally had Miss Barbecue, who we're excited to work with in June, but because of some timing things, that has gotten pushed to our next workshop. And I just want to announce to everyone that we now will have Dee Hill, who's an amazing writer, performer, and DJ, joining Cody and I on the 31st.
So stoked.
So excited. So, okay, we will give you more information. This is your teaser on Walk the Walk, and I'm going to unpin and go back to Cody because I would love to talk as the context for thinking about Walk the Walk. I'd love to think about Alan Turing and the way that a queer figure in history who was persecuted so intensely, whose achievements in the world were so big, is emblematic of what queer and trans and non-binary people live through and offer to the world, right? Like everyone is gifted and talented, but I think there's a way that anyone who's from a marginalized community walks with certain burdens. We walk with a certain, shadows around us, whatever the metaphor is that works for you. We walk with the risk of discrimination, of violence, of hate, of just disdain, even, right? Or lack of tolerance is the most banal version. And and we also live with ongoing systemic versions of being marginalized, right? So any marginalized community kind of is walking with that. And I think also marginalized communities, because we live through that, also tap very deeply into our gifts and our joys, whatever our culture is, right? So in particular, with Alan Turing, he was queer and his gender story was very complex, right? Because of how he got persecuted as well. And
Right.
for Walk the Walk, we are specifically looking at both the challenges of our daily walk as trans, non-binary, gender non-conforming, intersex folks. And we also will look at the fabulousness, like what we offer, what our gifts are. So for starters, if we could go to Alan Turing, and since you were one of the bodies who really represented him, could you share a little bit about what it was like to hold that space of those realities?
Yeah, in the show specifically, my character watches almost a replay of the events of that person's life, as like I'm one of the many versions of Alan Turing, and that version is watching a movie of the events happening and emotionally dealing with the story of what happened, um, and physicalize a lot of the persecution, um, internally and through the chemical castration during that part of the monologue that I deliver, speaking about what happened. I physicalize that, and try just to touch into the vulnerability of who a person like that was, someone who was incredibly smart and emotional and a really joyous person from all accounts, who was living their truth, and because of that, um, was treated so poorly. Um, yeah, I'm really excited for Walk the Walk as part of the Invertigo family's offering, because it it is where I come to the table in rehearsal, and I feel so seen and heard and have been given so much space to be who I am in this family, that it only makes sense and feels right to be able to give back in any small way through this workshop. So I am so excited to bring in uh, community members in my own identity politics circle and really do the same thing that was done to me, be able to give space, share space, and let the community around us know that we are, like you said, we are fabulous and we are making it work no matter what. And when we do it together, it is easier, and we can do so much. So yeah, I'm so excited to take what I've learned there and with this family and keep pushing it forward.
Yay, I love that. That's so beautiful, and I really agree with you. I think we all hold lots of space for each other, and the more space we hold out for each other, the more space we're making for ourselves and the collective, right? So, yeah, I have experienced that in my own work, and I really feel that in the Invertigo family. And Cody, it's such an honor and joy to get to jump into this project with you. So. Yeah, so I guess just to stem off of what you just shared, I know that in Vertigo, Laura Carlin, the artistic director, very much opens the space in choreography for a collective process, right? And for the choreography, at times the choreography has been directed by Laura, but more and more over time, I know that she has very much opened it up, and it's been, and naturally, I think, has happened as a collective collaborative process. I
Yeah.
very much work that way too. So I'm excited to jump in with you and Dee and the workshop participants uh, to do community collaboration as we just think about like,
Yeah.
and feel what are our stories? What are our daily walks? How do we want to share that in words and in bodies and in gestures? And then find through Zoom for right now. I can't wait to do it live. But
Uh,
over Zoom, people are incredibly inventive, and this time has pushed us to do that. Uh, you know, to still actually create some community choreography across the Zoom squares, or as I like to call it, the Hyper Brady Bunch. Um, so, so real, right? It is so Hyper Brady Bunch on steroids. Yeah. So, yeah, I guess first of all, if you could on the co-choreography and collective collaboration front, could you share a little bit about the choreography making at Invertigo, and specifically as you do that, if you could think about the ways like whenever I see the dance from the company, I feel like there's so much inverting and upending of gender norms, and so I'm wondering if you could just talk a little bit about your experience as a dancer in the company, collective choreography, and specifically around you and who you are and how you're able to bring that into the world of choreography, and just how the company does invert gender norms and social norms.
Definitely. I think, at least in my experience, it starts from the beginning, which sounds silly, but it does. From the moment you walk into rehearsal, a new person could be delivering class to the company. And so I feel like the power structures that are normally um, set up in at least to the dance world that can be really patriarchal or can be really binary are not there, and it you don't come in expecting a certain person or a certain gender to be in charge and to be um, leading. And so that automatically, when I come in, feels so free. I feel like I know in my mind I can be whoever I want to be, and I can be as powerful and have as much leadership in the company as I work for, because it has that expectation already. And within the choreography, a lot of it starts, at least in the processes that I've been a part of, it starts with play, a lot of play and almost workshop feelings in the way we generate the choreography. So that in itself lends to a more egalitarian approach. I feel like voices are heard in the way they want to be. So some of the voices and some of the colors are really loud, and some of them are more muted and soft. And I think because of the atmosphere that Laura had set up in the beginning of the work that I started with, I felt the understanding in the room that if you had something to say, it was welcomed. And so for me, that bleeds into the choreography, into the performance, into the show, into the community engagement. Um, the fact that you feel the ability to take your power in the room, I think makes for that feeling and makes for the ability to subvert or move away from a binary or work within a binary or play around within it. And I think that I know for sure that's what I'm looking for in a company atmosphere. And so I feel really blessed to be working in this way. It feels, like I said, it feels like a family and it feels like home because I have that freedom.
That's so gorgeous. And I couldn't agree with you more. I'll speak a little bit about my experience on the staff side, because I feel also like I have found such a home and family, and that there is so much space for creative freedom. And so I feel like my whole like entry into in Vertigo, and like they thought they were looking for this and this many hours, and the company as a whole seems to be like, in response. But I definitely feel so honored because I feel like I came on board, and between the gifts and skills that I particularly have and the energy that I bring that matches up with the company and with Laura and Dave and the rest of, and with the dancers, I also feel like my identities being queer and non-binary and trans, like unicorn mashup of all of that, is so seen, and I feel like my whole almost 2 years has been in this call and response. And it's just been so beautiful and humbling and lovely to feel like that's been a dance, like even on staff, when right now, speaking of like hyper Brady Bunch on the Zoom, like we are hyper glued to these chairs in our homes, right, on the staff side. And it's so opposite of how we all usually move and work together. And, I met you in the music center in a
Yeah.
rehearsal space, right? Like live people, imagine.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, so I feel like I feel really blessed because I work in a real call and response with my artistic practice as well. And then I feel like, I haven't been full time in a while. And this is the first time where I've been full time where I have felt this level of being seen, and this level of like, what I end up doing is in direct response to the company and direct response to what I'm putting forward. And it's literally the collective, kind of web that keeps happening. And so this project is a direct response to that, right?
Yeah.
So I do want to, before we go on, also say that we're so lucky because this project is supported by the City of West Hollywood. We received a Trans Arts Initiative grant. And we've now also received a 2-year cycle grant to continue on. And so I know, woohoo, thank you so much. We are so grateful for funding in this time to be doing the arts in the United States of America. We are blessed in a pandemic. Yeah, so Cody, this really is the beginning. And it is the first initiative for the company that is fully and specifically for trans and non-binary, GNC, intersex folks, right? And that is already very much at the center of the culture of Invertigo. Invertigo is so big-hearted and open, and very much prioritizes, many of us from marginalized communities, period. It's in a very inclusive space, and not inclusive like bringing in, it just naturally is made that way.
Right.
So I feel like the project, was part of that call and response. It was a collective dance, like between me responding to Form and Fairy Tales, applying for a grant, thinking, hey, Laura, I think we should maybe focus on gender issues a bit. And then literally WeHo saw it and they said, hey, we'd actually like to consider you for the Trans Arts Initiative grant. So I rewrote, and here we are, right? And then David Mack, our amazing executive director, said, yes, woot, woot. Speaking of call and response, so Dave said, Kay, could you see this becoming a show? And so we don't know the answer. We don't know if this is going to turn into a show. And I love to create from that space of I don't know, but to an open collective process. So like we're sitting here, Cody, and who knows what will become of this. But that's what got me to come up with the title Walk the Walk, because I very much like to think about our daily lives privately, publicly, and what it takes to be in these skins and these flesh and bones and the complex matrix of our identities and live in the world, right? And yeah, so I feel like it's really exciting that this is the first workshop. It's also the first full-on initiative for trans and non-binary folks. And yeah, so I'm just wondering, how you feel about the fact that in the world, more space is slowly being made for us. And also in Vertigo
Right.
is choosing to specifically prioritize this as well.
Yeah, I feel so excited. I'm really excited to take the, like you said, psychedelic Brady Bunch and create some energy for ourselves in our spaces. Because we've been glued to them, I'm excited to sort of rework that energy a little bit in a way that is, what is the word? It's something I want to, that creation, the beauty that comes from creation and from understanding our own identities better. That's what drives me to walk out the door. That is my walk. The drive to do that is my walk, and I'm so excited to be given the opportunity to dig and to dig with a group of people who want to do the same thing. Um, I am I I'm speechless at the fact that I work for a company that wants that. It's not something that 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 a corporate entity is saying, "Hey, we need to do this because of this, this, and this in the world." The world is creating space, and Vertigo is right there with it, and I love that. I absolutely love that.
Yeah, it is a blessing and it feels like such a beautiful alignment, right? To
Yeah,
to be in this moment. There's been so much hardship in the world in this last year, as a compressed version of what happens all the time, right?
yeah,
Um, and so everything from the pandemic to George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, all of the BIPOC trans women who endure violence and are murdered every year. Um, what happened in Atlanta last week, increasing violence against Asian American folks, brown, black folks in America. I mean, it is, and for trans GNC folks of all races, we face a lot in America day to day, right? And so you have a pandemic that then just had the ripe conditions to spark, the race revolution that we kind of need to overturn 400 years of slavery and the deep roots of that in all of our systems, whether we like that or not. And then climate change. I mean, we are in a time of upheaval, right? And so art is so essential. Like coming together to create collectively is more important than ever, right? And I think I really believe that trans, non-binary, intersex folks, like we have a special, I think of it as a spiritual walk. Like we are spirits, walking on this plane that is so outside of the binary, so outside of the constructs of what, humans have created. We've constructed all of that. Binary was
totally.
invented, right? And so, you know, I feel blessed to be at Vertigo and blessed to be in this time where, despite ongoing hardships, there is an amassing, there's an aggregation of our people, right? And this moment with this small workshop is just one space of it.
Yeah,
But yeah, we are in a time where things are so psychedelically horribly real at times, right? So
yeah,
yes, I'm wondering. You can respond to anything in there, but I also wonder if we could talk a little bit about holding that space. And I have many parts of my identity where I have privilege, specifically being white, and also with class to some degree in education, increasingly. And then I have identities where I'm marginalized and are oppressed identities, right? So we all, I believe, hold that. And then I think in this workshop, through storytelling and movement and thinking about visibility for trans folks and our larger umbrella family inside of that, just really thinking about how do we hold space to create art that is so essential in this time. Like, how do we convert the realities into art? So I'm wondering if you have any thoughts about that.
yeah. For me, a lot of it comes down to listening. A lot of us have stories that need to be told, whether they're big stories or small stories, stories that are like from your past or stories that are current in your life. And like you're saying, those parts of our identities that are marginalized don't get listened to a lot. And all it takes is to be heard, to have someone listen to you. And if it's someone who can align with you because of experience, I feel like it makes that relationship even stronger. And that's what I'm really hoping we get a chance to do in this workshop is listen and share, so that as a community we're that much stronger. We have new relationships with each other in deeper ways than we did before. And that, I think, is that's the main thing I'm hoping that I personally get out of the workshop and that I can bring to the workshop.
Mm, I love that so much, Cody. I too am really committed to a practice of deep listening. I feel like it is at the heart of humanity, right? And of creating space that allows for all of the, the trains are just really in concert with our like important moments. It's part of the universe, just like it's a virtuosic space we're in. Yeah, so I love what you shared. And I think that inherent in storytelling and inherent in collaboration is listening, right?
Yeah,
So this is very much a multi-directional storytelling space that we're going to create, a multi-directional space of movement. If if you are a walking person, we will work with walking. If you are in a wheelchair, we will work with the wheelchair. Like wherever you come to this Hyper Brady Bunch space, we will work with what our bodies and our lives and our stories are.
for
And movement can come through a finger, movement can come through a raised eye. We will work with our pedestrian day-to-day choreographies, and you don't
yeah,
have to be a dancer.
no,
Incredible art can be made from the simplest of gestures, and sometimes it's the most powerful that way too, right? So a space of really
yeah,
listening to all that.
yeah. I am so recently recovered from the injury we were talking about earlier, and I learned so much about listening to my body and going slow or being quiet as a way to find my power. And so I can't wait. I hope people from all walks join us.
More
Walks and
snaps.
walks. Yeah.
Yes, totally, totally. Well, I think this is a good time to once again give the nuts and bolts of the project. And any of you who are out there watching live, or if you watch this recorded later, uh, we really want to say that we hope we reach people who are in rural spaces or are doing something with the trans, non-binary, intersex community for the first time, people who don't think of themselves as dancers or writers or storytellers. This is really open. We will very much take who we have and work with the gifts that are at the table. And already the group that we have assembled, every application and video that I have seen has just, made my entire week, right? So we already have a full cup with our beautiful small group that we've assembled, and we do have spaces left. So once again, if you go to Invertigo's bio in IG, and there is a link there, and it will take you to our website, and it will take you to the link to apply. It's, I think, a pretty easy application. If you have any questions or it's difficult to use that application, you are welcome to email me directly. I will just say it over the space just in case it helps, but it's K period Bradford, and then it's at invertigodance.org. You can also Google us and you will find our phone number. So just reach out however it works. Please apply. We are really excited to work with you. Again, it's on
Yes.
Wednesday, March 31st, Transgender Day of Visibility. It starts at 5:30. We are able to offer a $50 commission to each accepted applicant because of this generous grant from the City of West Hollywood. It's a Trans Arts Initiative grant. Thank you again to the City of West Hollywood. And also, I want to say that Dee Hill, dear friend who is jumping on board with us, is a writer, a performer, and a DJ. So, Cody, we will be dancing. We will be dancing. And I am so excited for that. So there will be space for deep listening and sharing. We will break up into small groups. We will work as a group. We will respond to the hopes and wishes of the folks in the workshop. And and so Dee Hill Oh, and so the last part of this is we will dance also. Once again, just in case that's not clear, dance in the sense of like non choreo, just like
Whatever.
yeah,
Yeah.
be your free self. Yeah, and so Friday at 5 p.m. is the next IG Live with the Magical D Hill. And yeah, and we are taking applications up through the end of day on Friday. So if you want to apply, and if not, keep your ears and eyes out for the next Walk the Walk workshop in June. And we're just so excited to be in a live, listening and responding conversation to see what's going to come from this.
So excited.
Well, Cody, I remember that moment so clearly at the music center coming in for my first moment with the dancers of Invertigo. And I'd only been with the company for like a month and a half or something, and
Right.
going around the circle. And of course, Laura did pronouns, which I realized I forgot to say again. My preferred pronouns are the ampersand. It's difficult to translate into speech. So I do use they, them. And I just remember going around that circle and what a beautiful group of people. And I remember when you spoke and just this sense of kindred spirit with you, when you shared your pronouns and just seeing your bright spirit. So I'm so happy to get to work with you. And thank you for being in this conversation with me.
Thanks for bringing me in. I can't wait, and I hope anyone out there who's listening joins us.
Me too. We are a big-hearted bunch, and so on that note, I do want to send out love to Laura Carlin, David Mack, my fearless co-leaders at Invertigo, to all the dancers, to all of our staff. We have a beautiful group of people, and we hope more of you come join us. So have a beautiful day, everyone. Stay strong in the middle of these times and stay healthy. And thank you so much for being with us. Thanks, Cody. Good to see you.
Thanks, Kay. See you
See you
soon.
soon. See you tomorrow.
All right.